Hey there, and welcome back. My name is Russ Horn, and I have another trading system for you. This one is called the Forex Anvil. This is another one that I've built from the ground up. And again, it's got some really cool indicators, some custom indicators that I think you really enjoy. Everything you need to download and have that system running is right here on this page. You will download an auto installer and it will get the system up and running for you. You can download the manual. And if you continue to watch this video, I will show you how to use that auto installer, get the system on your charts, and then walk you through the entire process, how to trade the Forex Anvil. Now, if you are brand new to this page, there is also another trading system that I gave away called the Forex Profit Nexus. That is also available to you here. Same thing applies. You get everything you need for that system as well. Auto installer, which will get you up and running, put all the indicators on your charts, and a manual, and I'll show you how to trade that one too. Take both of these systems out for a ride. Try the Profit Nexus and this one right here, the Forex Anvil. Let me know what you think. Come back and leave a comment. I do read the comments, and I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say. There are going to be some really cool prizes too. So please leave a comment, some prizes for people that do leave a comment. But most importantly, I really do want to hear what you have to say about this. Now, there is some really cool information coming to you over the next few days. So keep an eye out for your emails. There's some really neat stuff. Now, let's get on to the Forex Anvil trading system. Continue watching. I'll show you how to download, install, and trade the Forex Anvil. Hi there, you have successfully downloaded the auto installer for the Forex Anvil system. Now that's what I've got here. This is the zip folder that contains the Anvil system. So what I'm going to do is show you how to run this installer, install the system on your charts. And then after that, we're going to go through the basic rules of the Forex Anvil system. Again, I want to make this one fairly quick because I know you just want to get at it. So let's do that now. So I'm going to double click to open the folder. And what I've got here is an exe file folder. That exe is the auto installer. So I'm going to run the auto installer to get things going. And after I do that, what I get is the Anvil installation wizard. Now, I don't need the installer anymore, or that file anyway. So what I'm going to do, that's what that was. So what I'm going to do is now simply follow the instructions as they appear on the install wizard. So click next. Now, I have this message because I do have an instance of MetaTrader open. If your MetaTrader is not open, you're not going to get this error message. I do, so what I'm going to do is close it, click OK, and then again, I'll just follow the instructions. I accept the agreement, click next. I'm going to uncheck the MetaTrader platforms that I do not want the Anvil installed on. Now, because of what I do, a lot of different people have a variation or a variety of platforms. So I'd like to kind of keep updated and have whatever platform my traders are using. So that's why I have a ton of different platforms on my computer. So I have the ones selected that I want to install the Anvil, which for me is Think Forex and Think Markets. And so I'll click next, next. It's installing, click next. Now, generally, I just leave this checked. By default, it says run this MetaTrader application. But for me, for this particular instance, because I got 3 different instances of Think Forex, it launches the wrong one. So I'm going to uncheck this and then click finish. And now I'm going to run my own version of Think Forex or Think Markets. And now that that's up, I'm going to the templates, and then from there, I'm going to click on the FMM Evo Anvil. And this is the Anvil trading system. So now let's go through some of the rules. This is really quite a simple system, but it is really effective. I think you're really going to like, especially this indicator down below. I can explain that a little bit, but let's get into into the rules here. Now, the first thing when I'm building any system is I want a way to determine a market bias. What direction am I going to trade? And what we've got is the actual Anvil indicator. This green and pink indicator, magenta, is the Anvil indicator. And it has a magenta line running along one edge. Now, this is the key component to this trading system. First of all, it gives us what we want to call a bias. It gives us the market direction. So when the Anvil indicator is green, we're looking to take long trades. When the Anvil indicator is magenta or pink, we're looking to take short trades. And that's it. We're not looking to take long trades when the Anvil indicator is pink. We're not looking to take long or short trades when it's green. We're looking for the bias. We're looking for the direction that the market will likely move. And this indicator will show us that overall bias. Now, the next feature is this green line that's running through. It's not attached to anything like the Anvil is all kind of meshed together. We have this single moving average, and this is what we call the guideline. And we're looking for the guideline to be on one direction or one side of the Anvil indicator. When the guideline is below the Anvil indicator and the Anvil indicator is pink, then we're looking for short trades. This is kind of part two of the overall bias. This is more of a short-term bias. When we have the guideline above the Anvil indicator, we're looking to take long trades. When the guideline is inside or on the wrong side of the Anvil, we can still take trades, and I'm going to cover those, but they are going to be considered very aggressive because they are risky trades. What happens is when the market starts to want to change direction, the guideline changes first. And how it changes first is by running through the Anvil indicator. So when the market goes from a downward bias to an upward bias, that guideline is the first to change. It goes into the Anvil indicator, and then the market follows the Anvil indicator changes afterwards. So taking a trade when we have that guideline either inside or on the wrong side becomes quite an aggressive proposition. We can do it, and I'll show you how to do it, but just want to be very clear that this is considered an aggressive trade. So what we're looking for are instances where the price gets to the Anvil indicator. Now, it's important that the market gets to this indicator. It gets to the pink line that's on the Anvil indicator. We want to have everything in order. We want the guideline to remain above. So let's take a look at a long trade. Since we're here, we'll look at a long setup. We want the guideline to be above the Anvil indicator. We want the price to come back and touch that top edge of the Anvil indicator. Meanwhile, the guideline remains above the Anvil. All right, so what we're going to do now is once that's occurred, we're going to look down at the RSIMA. That's a mouthful. The RSIMA indicator. This is an RSI with a moving average put into it. Before I end this video, I will show you how this works, how I came about this particular indicator. But for now, let's just cover some of the rules. So what I want is, again, a bias. I want the guideline to be on the right side of that bias. So if the bias is up or green, the guideline should be above. Price will come back and touch the upper edge of the Anvil indicator. Remember, it's an anvil. So it's like a hammer hitting a surface. Bang, bang. It's like that hammer hitting the actual anvil. The hammer is the price, and it's bouncing off of that surface of the anvil. Bam, bam. So what we're looking for is the price to come back, touch that anvil. When that happens, the RSIMA will have turned the opposite color. So if the anvil is green, we're looking for the RSIMA to be pink. or magenta. So let's mark that off. So right here, that happens. It turns pink, turns magenta. Now, it may not happen at the same instant. The RSIMA may turn pink 1 or 2 candles later. It may turn pink a little bit earlier. It doesn't matter. What we're looking for is these 3 pieces of information to come together before we look to take a trade. So we need the green Anvil. We need the guideline to be above the Anvil. We need price to come down and touch the Anvil. And at some point in there, we need that RSIMA to turn pink. Now, provided that the guideline remains above the Anvil, then we're going to be looking for a long trade. And that long trade is triggered when the RSIMA turns back to green. That's the long color here. So when we are looking for a long trade, the RSIMA will turn back into the trending direction. That's why we're looking for the RSIMA to change direction. We're looking for it to be in the opposite direction. And then all of those features together are what we'd consider the setup. Then when the RSIMA changes into the right color, into green in this instance, when that candle closes and it prints a green bar, then we are looking to take a long trade. So what happens? Get that out of the way. We know this is the entry candle. Well, let's just put that on. Maybe I should make this a little bit thinner. Yeah, so it's easier to see. All right. On the close of that candle that gives us the signal, we will place our entry, stop loss underneath the most recent swing low, which would be here, and a 1-to-1 profit target. Now, 1-to-1, it's a nice, easy thing to remember. You can change this. You can do it any way you want. You can go 2-to-1, 1.5-to-1. I like to use 1-to-1. It's clean. It's basic. It's very straightforward. It's really just a simple way to get the most out of your trades. So we've got another long trade just prior to this one. And that happened right here. So we've got the green Anvil. Guideline is above the Anvil. Price comes back to touch the Anvil. And during that kerfuffle, we have the RSIMA turns pink. So it's down. So then we're looking for the RSIMA to turn back to green. And that's on this candle here. So when we get that RSIMA turning back to green, we can look back and say, did everything line up? Did we have the Anvil stay positive or stay green, stay bullish? Did we have the guideline stay above the Anvil? Did the price come and touch the top of the Anvil? If all of those are yes, then we can take a trade. Enter at the close of that candle, which would be the open of the next one. Stop goes underneath the most recent swing low, and then we'll target 1-to-1. Really, really straightforward. Really, really simple. So that is the long trades for this. Now, we're going to take a look at short trades. Now, these are conservative trades. These are the ideal trades when the guideline does not touch, get into, move below the Anvil. It wants to stay above. This means that the market has momentum. As long as the guideline remains above the Anvil, we have market momentum in the up direction. When we look at something like this, where, just get rid of these lines, where the guideline is below the Anvil, then we have downward momentum. So as soon as that guideline is below the Anvil, it starts in here, then that momentum is starting to shift down. Then it turns to pink, turns to that magenta color, and then it's officially that momentum is down. And we can see what happens when that guideline starts to move up into the Anvil, that momentum, it starts to change direction. And it becomes very tricky. It becomes kind of up in the air. Is that momentum going to change, or is it going to come back again? Which is why we like to restrict our trades to the guideline never getting into the Anvil itself. So let's take a look at the short trades. Again, we're looking for the bias. The direction is down because the Anvil is pink. We want the guideline to be below the Anvil. we want the price to come back up and touch the underside of the anvil, that pink line that's attached to the anvil. And those three things happen. We'd like the RSI-MA to turn green. And it is. It's green in all of this area here. So on this gray candle, even this white one, it gets super, super close. And that's good. We want it to get like really close. So we get this really nice area, touches the anvil. This gray one definitely touches it. So we're in the anvil. The price is in the anvil. Guideline stays low, stays below the anvil. So what we're waiting for now is a candle to print, a candle to print, a candle to print, the guideline to stay below, and then the RSI-MA to turn pink. And we get that right here on this tiny little candle. It's a very small bodied candle, but what happens is the RSI-MA changes to pink. So that gives us a short entry at the close of that candle. When that candle closes, the next one will open, which means we'll get this first RSI-MA bar to print pink, and then we'll get a second one. So the instant that candle closes, we'll be looking at two bars. This second bar would be the fresh one, and it will change, as the candle paints, but we're looking for the close of the one. Stop loss will go above the most recent swing high, which is right here. And then we're looking for a 1-to-1. Now, like I said, you can change this. You can go 2-to-1, 1.5-to-1, whatever your style dictates, whatever you like. I like 1-to-1. 1-to-1 works well for me. And we have another example of that here. Price comes back up, tags the underside of the anvil. And on that candle, we have all the requirements met. The bias is down. The guideline is under. Price comes up to touch, and the RSI-MA is green. So what happens is we're waiting for a pink RSI-MA to print. All the while, the guideline stays underneath. And on this one candle, that happens. We have all the criteria met. Once that candle closes, we enter a short position above the most recent swing high, which is right here. And again, 1-to-1, which is about right here. So that is a beautiful trade, a really nice and clean trade. I'm not looking to trade. I'll get rid of these lines here. So I know a lot of traders are looking at this guideline and they're looking at it and thinking, well, if the price closes in and then out, can we take a short trade at that point? And I'd say, no, I don't want to be doing that. The RSI-MA is got a great filtering mechanism to it. The fact that the price comes back and touches the anvil is a great filtering mechanism. All of these could potentially have been short trades if we had looked at it that way, and they wouldn't have done really well. Like, we'd have all these potential losers. So as long as we're sticking to the rules and we're patient, we are going to find that we're going to be very successful trading this. Now, we're going to take a look at a couple of aggressive versions of this. And again, they are aggressive, and it's really important that we know this. They are aggressive, and they're not going to work as frequently as we like. But I do want to present it to you so that you have that option. Now, an aggressive version of this, we'll take a look at this instance right in the center of the chart. An aggressive version is when the guideline gets into and then below the anvil when the anvil is bullish. So we have an instance here of a losing trade and then a winning trade. So this becomes an aggressive version. The guideline is inside of the anvil. The momentum is still up because the anvil is still green. And we get a signal to go long here. It's at this point over here that the price actually touches the anvil itself. So that requirement's met. The guideline, or the anvil itself, is green, so it is bullish. We get the pink RSI-MA. And then what happens is on this candle, RSI-MA turns green. And the price instantly drops lower than the most recent swing low and takes us out. So we don't win this one. But we do get another opportunity here, and this one is a huge winner. Now, it's starting to become hit or miss at this point. There's a strong likelihood in this area that the market momentum is starting to turn. And it's actually really strong because the guideline drops below a bullish Anvil. And we can see here, when it moves above a bearish Anvil, market changes. And we can see that instance every time that the Anvil changes colors. We're going to see that the guideline does switch sides. So making a trade like this becomes very risky. And I would be very hesitant to take a trade in this aggressive type of situation. Another instance of one that works out okay is this one here. We get the guideline popping into, like it drops just below this pink line. It gets into the Anvil, but then the momentum, it's still strong enough to take the market up. Again, this is a trade that I probably would have missed simply because the momentum isn't as solid anymore as I'd like to see it. But this one does work. We have entry, we have stop loss, and we have a one-to-one profit target. Very nice trade if this is one you'd want to choose to take. Now, again, it's something that I'd generally want to avoid. And as a result, I'm going to refrain from taking those. And I want to keep the guideline on the right side, the correct side of my Anvil indicator. Okay, now, as promised, I will show you how this RSI-MA came about. It's really cool. So this doesn't have anything to do with the system itself. This is part of how this one indicator works, and it's really cool. I'd like to show it to you. So what I want to do is add an RSI, a relative strength index. And this would be a 14 period RSI. Now on the RSI, I'll double click. I don't want the fixed minimum and the fixed maximum in there. Now, I am a fan of this indicator in some ways, in some degrees. I like when there's a moving average added to this indicator, and that's what this is here. So let's go to indicators, trend, moving average. So what I want to do now, this is more for just building an indicator on an indicator for you guys. So what I want to do is take this moving average from the navigator. It only works from the navigator. Drag and drop it onto the RSI. And then from there, I'm going to apply to previous indicators data. All right, I'm going to make this one a 13, and then I'll hit, just make them thick enough, hit OK. So now this is a moving average through the RSI, and that is what we're looking at. When the RSI is above the moving average, we have a positive or a green RSI-MA. When the RSI is below the moving average, we have a pink RSI-MA. So this moving average acts as a zero level, as a zero line. So when we are above or below, we get the bullish or bearish signals. And that's really cool. I think it's really neat. And it serves really well as a filter mechanism when we add an additional filter mechanism, when we have another requirement. And that is the guideline, the Anvil, and the bounce off of the Anvil itself. So we're taking some good indicators, putting them together to make a really great system. The settings have to be right. All the details have to be right for this to work. And I think what we've got here is a really well-defined version of the system. So you can go into the inputs and you can make your changes as you see fit. If this is something you want to do, make the changes. Now you know how the RSI-MA works. You can kind of mess around with that if you like an 8 and an 8, because I know some people do. They like an 8 RSI with an 8 moving average. If that's something you like, you can make those changes and make this indicator function that way. So now you've got the indicator. Now you've got a Anvil indicator. You've got 3 different moving averages that comprise it. This is really quite a nice system. You're going to get a lot out of it. Try it out. And I really do want to hear what you guys think. If you like this system, I'd like to hear about it. If you don't like the system, sure, why not? Hear about that too. Give it a try. And it is, again, it's a functional system. This is going to make you money if you are consistent, if you follow the rules, if you don't stray too much. Don't make up your own rules as you go. You've got some hard and fast rules, bias, guideline, price touches the anvil, RSIMA goes from negative to positive. It goes from the opposite color to the appropriate trending color. And you've got yourself a trade. And this works 70% of the time. All right. Enjoy this system. Thank you very much for watching. And I hope to talk to you guys again really soon.